Again, for those of you that just joined us, we're having some slight technical difficulties. We'll be up and running in a few minutes. Thank you for your patience.
Yeah, I'm unmuted now. If anybody has audio, please turn it down. Please.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, please turn it down. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You want to unmute yourself because she's going to do the roll
Doing
call.
this? Ready?
Do you know how to do that?
Attention, everybody. Commence the meeting. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. We were having some technical difficulties. We will now commence the meeting. Thank you. This meeting will be held according to the California Government Code Section 59453, Subdivision E of the Ralph M. Brown Act, California Government Code Section 5495E, Series Resolution Number 2021-101, and the Federal Americans with Disabilities Act. While this meeting will be physically open to the public, given the state of the emergency regarding the threat of COVID-19, members of the public may also participate and comment via the Zoom application. Zoom information was on the attached agenda. Remote public comment is also available for the City Council meeting by emailing the City Clerk at cityclerk@ciseries.ca.us by 5 p.m. the day of the meeting, included on the agenda item number or public comment period in the subject line of the email. The clerk may be read written comments into the record if specifically requested to do so at the beginning of your email. Your written comment will be distributed to the City Council and kept on file as part of the official record of the City Council meeting. Welcome, everybody. Monday, November 8, 2021, City Council meeting. I call this meeting to order. May we get the roll call, please?
Councilmember Casey,
Here.
Councilmember Rhino,
Here.
Vice Mayor Silvera,
Here.
and Mayor Lopez.
Here. We have a special guest today, Pastor Patrick Davis from the Ceres Christian Church for the invocation, and then followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Is he here on Zoom or is he here in person? As soon as he goes on, everybody please stand.
Is everyone there? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Well, technology was supposed to make life easier, wasn't it? Well, we need to seek God. Thanks so much for the opportunity to join you guys and seek God on your behalf. Grateful for your tireless work. It's on nights like tonight where everybody's scrambling to get everything done. Please stay encouraged. What you do and who you are matter a great deal to the city. So thanks again. Proverbs 11:14 says, where there's no guidance, a people fails, but in abundance of counselors, there's safety. So I'd like to invite you to pray with me. If you would, please bow your heads. Gracious God, our Father, thank you for this time together. I'm praying, God, that all the city council members would feel a sense of hope, knowing, God, that you are with them always, no matter where they are, no matter what they're going through. Praying, God, even for a sense of joy in knowing that what they are doing is contributing to the betterment of the citizens of Ceres, California. Again, God, bless the city council members tonight as they lead well and in their decision making. We thank you for it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Today. Okay, everybody. Today we have two presentations. And the first presentation today is a proclamation for Veterans Day. I'm just making sure that there's no audio feedback. If those who are here today to accept the certificate, please stand. Oh, it didn't show up? Oh, they can't hear me? Okay, if those that are here today to accept the presentation, if you can please stand. You guys are welcome to walk up to the podium, please. Today, okay, I'm going to speak really loud. Today, Veterans Day, oriented on November 11th, 1918, with the armistice which brought World War I to an end, and the victory of World War I confirmed the power of the great nations coming together to attain a higher purpose. And in 1954, the people of the United States, through their elected representatives, designated November 11th as a day to honor all veterans. And whereas Veterans Day is celebrated and commemorated with solemn observance in honor of all Americans who have served their country in times of war and conflict, protecting us from enemies foreign and domestic. And whereas Veterans Day has become an integral part of the American heritage, as we recognize and thank those who have served in the armed forces, whose service to our nation has protected our freedom through history. And whereas the valor, sacrifice, and dedication which veterans of the United States Armed Forces have displayed preserve and protect freedom and democracy are recognized and honored. And now, therefore, I, Javier Lopez, Mayor of the City of Ceres, California, along with the Ceres City Council, do hereby call upon all citizens to commend America's veterans and observe Thursday, November 11, 2021 as Veterans Day, and ask that that day be observed with the appropriate ceremonies in honor of brave Americans who have served our nation. In witness whereof I have whereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Ceres, California, to be affixed this 8th day of November 2021. And we have a certificate to give to these gentlemen.
That's high tech right there.
Thank you once again. Our next presentation will be the Ceres Ace Train Station. With this next presentation, due to our technical issues, we will not be able to show you the presentation online. But we will have this presentation available on our website here pretty soon, if not today. Oh, just not the people in the audience. I'm sorry about that. So it will be online, but just not the people in the audience, being that our televisions are not working. And today we have, sir? Thank you for joining us today.
Yes, you're on video and it's unmuted. So.
Great. Thank you. So I just push you to.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. My name is Dan Levitt. I'm manager of regional initiatives for the San Joaquin Regional Rail Commission. We're the owner operator of the ACE Rail Commuter Service, and appreciate this opportunity to give you an update on our efforts to implement the Valley Rail program and the ACE expansion down to Ceres, and ultimately down to Merced. I have with me Ed Noriega, who's the project manager for Mark Thomas for this effort at Ceres Station. And so he's going to go into more details about our efforts here to implement an A station in Ceres. But I'll first give you just a little bit of background before we get into the details. Oh, sorry. Thank you. I can you say next slide? Thank you. Okay, so this first figure shows you our ACE route. And this we've been operating the ACE commuter rail service for more than 2 decades. ACE currently runs 4 daily round trips between Stockton and San Jose. Our biggest markets are carrying passengers from the San Joaquin Valley to the Silicon Valley. Great America is our #1 station. We also have a strong market between the Tri-Valley area, the Dublin, Livermore, Pleasanton area in the Silicon Valley, and also carrying passengers from the Valley to the Tri-Valley area as well. ACE, before the pandemic, was carrying about 1.5 million passengers a year on only 4 daily round trips during the weekdays. Next slide. This figure shows you our Valley Rail program. The Valley Rail program is a joint program between the Rail Commission and the ACE service, and also the San Joaquin Joint Powers Authority, which is the managing agency for the San Joaquin service, which also serves the San Joaquin Valley. The Valley Rail program will extend ACE service up to Sacramento and also extend it down the valley to Ceres and then down to Merced. It will also increase the San Joaquin service to Sacramento. The program over the last 4 years, we've secured about $1.3 billion of funding for the program. Most of that is state funding, and we are targeting having the first ACE round trip between Ceres and San Jose by the end of 2023. Next slide. This figure shows you the ACE route coming down the UP corridor to Ceres and then down to Merced. We've completed the environmental review work needed for the extension down to Ceres. We are in the midst of final design and looking to start construction sometime later next year on the station to Ceres, and also the alignment improvements that are needed as well to bring service down to Ceres. For the section between Ceres and Merced, the environmental is the draft document is online and available. We're looking to certify that at our December Rail Commission board meeting on December 3rd. Next slide. This figure shows you the route extension up north to Sacramento. Both ACE and San Joaquins will be sharing the route from Stockton to Sacramento on the line shown here in purple, which is closer to the I-5. That is a UP-owned a subdivision called the Sacramento subdivision. Currently, it does not have any passenger trains on it. We will be adding new stations to that line too, and adding improvements in order to enable passenger services to run on that. We have the environmental clearance completed for the route between Natomas all the way down to Stockton, and we will be having a shuttle service to the airport at Natomas to Sacramento International Airport. The environmental process is complete. With one exception, we are doing a separate environmental document for the Elk Grove station. We are now in final design for that section as well. Next slide. This figure shows you the additional round trips that we'll be adding with this Valley Rail program. We'll be adding a total of 7 additional passenger rail trips between the Valley and Sacramento. Between Ceres and Sacramento, we'll be adding 4. Those will all be ACE round trips. One of them will be, which is the first one we'll deploy, which will be between Ceres and San Jose. And then the other 3 will be between Ceres and Natomas in Sacramento. And for those 3 that are going up to Sacramento, passengers will have the ability to transfer over at North Lathrop over to ACE trains going to San Jose. So they'll have the option, even those 3, with a transfer to get down to San Jose as well. If I go to the next slide. And at this point, I'm going to turn over the presentation to our project manager to go through the details of the Ceres station.
Thanks, Dan. This is just an aerial of the city of Ceres. Let's go to the next slide. This shows the limits of the city of Ceres. One more slide, please. And the downtown area where the Ceres station will be is being proposed. Next slide. So this is just a bird's eye view of where the station will be located, where in the background, the middle of the slide here is State Route 99. On the background of it is the railroad property, Union Pacific, and closer to you would be El Camino Avenue. Next slide shows the Whitmore Park as well as where the fire station parcel is. As we move on to the next slide, we're showing the improvements here where you can see on the railroad in the railroad property, this platform, it's about 1,000-foot long center-loaded platform, and that's connected. There's some green and gray areas right behind 99 there. That's a walkway that goes under 99 that then connects to some parking along El Camino. You can see along up and down El Camino Avenue between El Camino and 99, there are some stalls shown there that's angled parked in the southbound direction. As we go into the next slide, let's just get closer to some improvements at the station as well. Let's go to the next slide. One more. That shows here in color the improvements that I just described earlier. The pink rectangular hatch there is the platform, the 1,000-foot platform in Union Pacific right-of-way that's connected by the green lines there to the parking areas along El Camino shown there in yellow and in blue. The red lines shown there are just the Union Pacific right-of-way, State Route 99 in the middle, as well as El Camino Avenue on the bottom part of the screen there. Let's go to the next slide. And this is just a rendering of what we're trying to do there, shown with some landscaping and just an open area there as you approach the connection to the center loaded platform. Next slide. Let's talk about some improvements along El Camino Avenue shown here in red. Next slide, where these are just cross sections looking north along El Camino, where El Camino, it's roughly 30 feet wide with one lane in each direction, a 2-lane roadway. Improvements are proposed on the west side of El Camino, shown here on the next slide, where that red line is the State Route 99 right-of-way. So improvements do are proposed in Caltrans's right-of-way, where there's going to be angled parking, walkways, as well as a retaining wall to hold up the State Route 99. The object here, or the image here on the left side, is what that retaining wall would look like. They're called soil nail walls, which it's really nailing down that retaining wall into the embankment. Next slide. At the intersection of North and El Camino, where it receives the southbound off-ramp into El Camino, what we've done at this location, at the next slide, shows we've studied this intersection and looked at the different types of intersection control at this location. We've looked at a roundabout at this location to see if this would work, as well as signalizing this intersection. We're working with Caltrans currently to see what the best solution is. It's looking like a signal at this location is the appropriate intersection control. Next slide. Under State Route 99, where the parking connects with the platform, shown here in red, at the next slide shows that what we need to do is create a walkway that's it's 12 foot wide with a 2-foot buffer between the walkway and the retaining wall that holds up the bridge. It's a retaining wall that's constructed on a regular basis under 99. This is a similar retaining wall that they're constructing up there in Turlock, actually, under Main Street, or on Main Street. The next slide shows the location where the walkway connects to the platform. Let's go to the next slide here that shows a little bit in detail where when the pedestrian starts approaching the platform as they get on the west side of State Route 99, they can see a tunnel on the other side of it where it's connected via a set of stairs to the right side, or they go to the left with a switchback of ramps that connects the walkway into a tunnel that goes to the platform. At the next slide shows what that may look like. It's just we're trying to create a comfortable space in there so that the pedestrian can feel comfortable walking into the area, into the tunnel connecting to the platform. At the next slide shows where the tunnel that connects the walkway into the platform. And this is what it would look like, where the image here on the right just shows an engineered type of, oops, not quite, for the tunnel. And the tunnel is about 15 feet wide, and it's 10 foot tall with an arch top. And the images here on the left just shows how that would connect from the walkway into the platform. Next slide. One more, and these are the improvements again as we move to the next slide. So there are some improvements here that will be in the state right of way, shown here in blue, the parking area, the walkway, as well as some retaining walls, as well as this access road that connects that orange, the access road is a connection to a layover track for trains that stage overnight. They get some maintenance. They'll be connected through that orange shape there. We are coordinating these improvements shown here in the next slide with Caltrans, and we're trying to figure out with Caltrans what the best approval process would be for these improvements. More to come in those. Hopefully we can report on those in the near future. So the next steps for this project would be coordinate the improvements with Caltrans, also develop a landscape architecture set of plans that we may be able to share with you in the near future. Then finish final design so that we can get this constructed. And our last slide here is just a schedule where the green line, that faint green line that you see in 2021 is where we are today. We're nearing the end of preliminary design and partially into final design. And the goal is to complete this at the end of the third quarter of 2022, so this can be constructed in 2023. That's the end of our presentation.
Thank you. Does the council have any questions? No questions at all? Thank you. Does the public have any questions at all? Mr. Warren, do you have a question? Mr. Yeakley?
Okay, there you are.
Yeah, Gene Akeley series. Yeah, I have a couple of questions to the gentleman here that are representing, I guess, ACE. What kind of input can the citizens have on this design of the station? Because is it going to be cookie cutter like the rest of them we see in the state? I got some ideas myself. You know, I've always had some about when they mentioned some time ago in the past of a station coming in here and picking up people to go to different locations. This is going to reflect the people here. If it's, you know, they need something. We've always needed something here in our city to be different from everyone else by drawing something here. And I think if that station design is different from all the rest of them, that's something that we can possibly benefit from.
Thank you. That's a really good question, and I think that there's a combination of the answer. Part of the elements of the station are going to be very similar throughout our system, where certain things like the platform have to be built a certain way, and how we implement parts of it will be very much, as he said, cookie cutter with other parts. There are other parts of it which can be different and can have sort of the context of the area and what the city desires. And so what we'd propose is that we continue to work with the city and figure out the appropriate way to have a workshop for these type of things once we start having some design elements in place where we can show some more pretty pictures, but also coming up and showing here are the areas where we can have input and that there's different design that can be done. For example, was discussed, we have to put a retaining wall in front of our parking. We want to make sure that retaining wall is something that is beautiful and reflective of the city, and that's something that discourages people from putting graffiti or anything on it. So we need to work with you to best, what we can put on it that has a statement for the city of Ceres. And then also as you're walking under, we have to go underneath the 99 as well. And so making sure that that is not only lit up well, but also a very pleasant area. And there'll be ways that we make it nice to walk through. And that's some place too that you might have the people might want to have input in terms of what is there on the walls that it encourages them to want to be there at the location and take the train.
Thank you.
We'll have a question.
Behind me right here.
On this building concept, the design, I know the platform, all that stuff has to have regulations through the state or whatever. The basic design of the building itself, I think that's what we need to focus on the most besides all the other stuff. Can we have input? Can we get something done that we, the people of Ceres, likes and not what the state or the county likes?
Again, we have 4 renderings that will help more. But when you think of the station, this station is not going to have a building per se. This station we have other examples that we can show you, but it's more of a functional location. So the platform is a big part of it, but also as mentioned, it's a center-loaded platform, which is going to take some effort to get passengers to that. So it's the walkway and the landscaping of getting to the center-loaded platform. But there will not be a large building like this as part of the station.
Tickets and restrooms.
We will have ticketing provided through online and also for automatic ticketing as
So there
well.
will be some structure there.
There won't be a building like this.
No, but I mean, there'll be
Yes.
some structure.
You've got you've got the whole undercrossing that we'll be having people going through.
I understand.
And then once you get to the station, there will be, as described, you will have to walk through a tunnel configuration to take people up to the center-loaded platform.
And on that platform, will there be some structure?
There will be a shade structure in order to provide.
So it's gonna be automatic tickets like BART?
Your tickets you get, you show your ticket once you get on the train.
Is there gonna be a building? This is what I want.
No, there will not be a building.
A shed.
There will be
Is there gonna be a person there to help someone when they need help?
we're working on that, whether or not there'll be a person on there full time or not. That is something decided.
So basically, it's gonna be
Some of our
like,
stations are manned and some of them are not.
they're gonna be walking on the platform and put money in and get a ticket and go on the train.
Or many people buy their tickets online.
And will there, again, be restrooms?
That's still under debate.
Well, I hope not a lot of people pee themselves on the waiting for the train. Okay.
There's restrooms on the trains.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you know, hey, not everybody can win.
Thank you, Mr. Yakeley. Mr. Warren? You ready, sir? Go ahead, Mr. Warren.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A question I have, are you gonna drill or dig a new tunnel underneath 99? Or are you gonna close off that on-ramp there and not have a southbound on-ramp to 99?
So, no, the connections from 99 to downtown will remain. No tunnel is being dug under 99. The tunnel would be between the walkway under Union Pacific into the platform.
Where's the walkway under Union Pacific? We don't have one now.
Correct, that's what we'll do.
How are you gonna get one there? You're gonna dig a hole through underneath the freeway?
Not under the freeway. So under the freeway, we're creating a walkway using retaining walls.
Are you using the existing opening that's under the freeway? Which one are you gonna use? The southbound one going on or the southbound one coming off?
Southbound coming off 99.
Okay, so part of that undercrossing or that opening that is presently there is gonna be developed into a walkway.
That's correct.
There you go. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Warren. Is there any other members of the public that would like to make a comment or have a question? If not, is anybody on Zoom that has a question or a comment? We see Larry Lopes. Mr. Lopes, you have been unmuted, Mr. Lopes.
All right.
Go ahead, Mr. Lopes.
Can you hear me, everybody?
I'm going to turn up my computer. Go ahead, sir.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for this opportunity. My question, in the meantime, is it possible to coordinate with ACE and Caltrans to clean up the existing right-of-ways, both under the overpass, between the overpass and the SP tracks? It has looked horrible for years.
That's something that I can go ahead and talk to Alex and have him coordinate with Caltrans.
We have tried for years and nothing has gotten done.
Who's we, Mr. Lopes?
I have contact with the SP. I made contact with the former city managers,
Okay.
plural. We continue to just look at a horrid mess.
Thank you, Mr. Lopes.
Thank you.
Is there any other members from Zoom that would like to make a comment? Doesn't look like it.
One additional hand, Mayor Lee Brandt. Mr. Brandt, I will unmute your mic.
Welcome, sir.
Good evening. Boy, this is a challenge. I just have a question. The presentation it was kind of hard. Is it going to be on YouTube or something in the future?
We will more than likely provide the PDF version on our website, and if we're recording, we're going to provide that on YouTube. Yes.
Okay, thanks. That's all I really want to know. Thank you.
No problems. Do we have any other hands? None that I can see. Okay, seeing none, moving on to citizens communications. Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate you coming today. Have a wonderful evening. While the City Council welcomes and encourages participation in the City Council meetings, adopted rules allow no more than 5 minutes, resolution number 2007-106, for expression of non-agenda items, matters under the jurisdiction of the City Council and not on the posted agenda, may be addressed by the general public. However, California law prohibits the City Council from taking any action or any matters which is not on posted agenda unless it is determined to be an emergency by the City Council. Citizens are entitled to address the City Council on any agenda item subject to the 5-minute provision. So we will begin with citizens communication via Zoom. Is anybody on Zoom?
I see no hands raised,
No
Mayor.
hands? I do have some yellow cards. Let me double check if we have anything on. Yes, we do. Mr. Osgood, I believe. Citizens communication, Mr. Osgood. Welcome, Mr. Osgood. Wait, let me restart that timer. Ready, sir?
Well, tonight's a good night to have a voice that carries like John Osgood's. We're having a hard time out here hearing you, Mr. Mayor, so if you could please enunciate a little bit.
I can scream, but then I want to make sure that I don't scream too loud, but yes, I will do that. Thank you.
We would appreciate it.
You got it.
First of all, I want to say I used the Series app to report some debris and dry vegetation along Hatch Road corridor. And I've made phone calls personally thanking the director for seeing to that situation. We have made that corridor look so much better by promptly getting on that. I appreciate all the effort from city staff and our employees on that project. Looks really good.
Thank you.
Second thing I want to discuss tonight, we all know we have an appointment process coming up tomorrow. We have a lot of times in series where the people's will is ignored. While the appointment process is justified under state law, no less than 3 or 4 people spoke on their desire what the situation would be. From time to time, the people need to be considered. After all, our strategic plan does say we'll be responsive to the people, and lately it doesn't feel like that's the case. Thirdly, part of that process also, we all know it's public record now and the agenda's out for tomorrow. We have a gentleman's seat shopping. I really think tomorrow as an applicant is the wrong time to bring it up and criticize that. But today as a common citizen, that's not something we need to allow to be justified in the city of Ceres. We should expect everyone to behave in an honorable manner, and seat shopping shouldn't be one of those things. But most importantly, we need to pay attention to what the people are saying every meeting. We need to thank staff when they do something good, just like I have tonight, because I criticize the city when we do something wrong. But everyone that worked on that project, from the city manager to the mayor, Director Jeremy Damas, and our city staff, absolutely made every morning I have as I drive down that corridor a better morning. And I'd like to thank you all for that cleanup.
Thank you, Mr. Osgood. Mary, are you here? Are you here? I've seen that you checked off general communications and the public hearing, so you may step up. Thank you.
Hi.
Hello.
My name is Mary. I've lived in Ceres between 30 and 40 years. So I'm not a new person in here either. I was also here when Walmart was being discussed, and now we have a new building. My biggest thing to be here for today is how in the world can you get a hold of the people that has anything to do with, they're making, what I'm trying to say is over permits to build, over, I mean, this has been going on for a long time. Let me just explain something here. My neighbor, my daughter's neighbor, has been there and building for, I don't know how long. He has 4 properties, I mean, 1 property with 4 buildings, maybe more. I know that he does not have a permit because I checked. And his only permit that was pulled was in 2002. If I'm corrected, either 2 or 7, but in that long a time. In that process, he has rebuilt a place in the back. It's okay in mother's quarters. I go for that. That was the only permit he got. But as it is and how it sets right now, he even just built on to the back of his front house that is rented. And they rent it to two other guys, a person. It is a hazard. It is a fire hazard. There's no way for these people, for these kids to get out and do it safely. There's just no way. And that's my biggest complaint, is that these kids are just innocent little kids that do have a house, thank God. But it's not safe. It is absolutely not safe. The sewer, the water, the electric, everything else is off of 1 line. The sewer is for all. The electric is off of the pole. And now, and I think the thing that really has shook me more is the fact that he doesn't care. He's a good person. I can't say anything bad about him as a person, but as a person that puts people in a hazardous way and any other situation, he is. But what I want is somebody to please either do something on these buildings before somebody gets killed or before it turns real bad. I just pray that that don't happen. We can't park half the time in front of our houses. Over there, they're parking on the sideway, the sidewalk, the same way the sidewalk runs. So they just park right with it. They don't have any place else to do or anything else. But I've called and called and called. What do we do? Oh, well, and finally, somebody said, go to the city council. And so that's why I'm here today, that please, my daughter that has lived across the street from me for probably 20 years, because of the neighbor next door, she's moving. And that really also really has gotten to me, is that she's been there all this time. Everybody's complained, everybody. I would have had a lot more in here tonight if I had really told them I was coming, but I wasn't even sure if it was the night was done. But please, please get somebody to do something with this person's building. This is not the only place. And the biggest thing is said, well, I had rather get a ticket than I had to tear it down because it won't cost me near as much. Excuse me? Yes, it's going to cost you a lot in lives and people. And I thank you for listening to me. And I'm sure the neighbors down there, they're probably listening too, because they've been waiting. But I'm not through. If we can't get something done, I'll be back. And I thank everyone for being here and listening.
Thank you, Mary, for your comments. I'm going to pass on the yellow card to Alex as well. That's her information right there. Looks like the chief's going to go talk to her. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and open this up to anybody else in the public for citizens communication. Anybody else would like to speak?
Moving right along.
Seeing none, thank you very much. Citizens communications is now closed. There is no appointments or board commissions. Is there any conflicts of interest from the city council? Seeing none. Moving on to consent calendar. All matters listed on the consent calendar are considered routine in nature and will be enacted by one single motion unless otherwise requested by an individual council member or public for special consideration. Otherwise, the recommendation of staff will be accepted and acted upon by roll call. I do have Mr. Osgood did fill out a yellow slip, and it looks like he has chosen number 4, number 7. Yep, those are the only 2. Council? Is there any other members of the public who would like to pull an item? Seeing none. Anybody on Zoom? Seeing none. Council?
Move to approve consent calendar items 1, 2, 3, 5, 6.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Casey,
Yes.
Councilmember Rhino,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Silvera,
Yes.
and Mayor Lopez.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. Commencing with item number 4. Registered of audited demands for period covering October 20, 2021 through October 27, 2021. Mr. Osgood. You got it.
Go looky there. Okay, usually I'm up here with number 4. Tonight's a little different than usual. I did notice we have some more conferences. Regardless of what the conferences were, I have an equity issue. We have several per diem items on the register of demands, and I noticed each employee of the city is granted a different per diem per night rate. My question is, should we not, like the private sector, have a set per diem rate for our employees? And should it not be equitable for all divisions, all departments, and all employees? What I'm asking is, when these items come up again, if one individual is entitled to 100 per night, shouldn't the next person? Because in this list of audited demands, one's down around $64 a day and one's much over $100 a day. I personally would like to see everything equitable. If we need a resolution to do that, then we need to move in that direction. But that's the reason I pulled this item tonight, so I could start that discussion. Thank you. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Mr. Osgood. I believe we do have an answer for that.
So just so you know, per diem is based on where the employee's going, how long they're going to be there.
Oh, it looks like you're muted. We can just stick with that.
Okay, so it is based on where the employee is going, which part of the state, and how long they'll be there. That's what determines the amount that they get.
So it's
Whether
not
we
always,
have to pay them for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or the evening, or all day, or there's several different factors
so
that
whether
go
that person
into
is going for a
determining how
day,
much each employee is.
so whether that person is going for a day or 2 days, it will change, right?
Yeah, it just
Okay, I
depends.
see what you're saying.
Can I say something?
And Councilmember Rhino, go ahead, man.
And the difference in the per diem rate is that it was found through a study or something that for someone to go to breakfast, say in Los Angeles, if they're at a conference, costs much more than it does if they're going to a conference in Fresno. And that was what it was based on, correct? And some people may have breakfast and lunch included with their seminar, and some may not. So that's all factored into that per diem. There's so much for breakfast, there's so much for lunch, and there's so much for dinner.
Correct.
And they may not be eligible for all of those based on what their seminar is.
Correct.
Correct? Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Osgood. Oh, absolutely. You still have time, sir.
I was going to redirect.
Redirect is not.
Just so everyone's aware, I'm familiar with how per diem works. I just think that it should be equitable, right? We can determine if we allow up to X amount of dollars per day, regardless of where the individual goes, regardless of if it's Las Vegas, Los Angeles, Sacramento, or Redding. We can, as a community, say our employees are entitled to X amount of dollars. And we should make it equitable for all employees. If they're going to Stockton, of course, they're coming home. Of course, we're just going to pay them for their dinner, their meal. In the private sector, it works similar to that. I understand how it works in government, but it should be equitable for every employee. Or we need to check the conferences that we're sending them to. We spend a large amount of money on conferences and per diem, but every employee should receive the same benefit regardless of location.
Thank you, Mr. Osgood. Mr. Ward?
I don't think he heard you.
Mr. Warren, go ahead.
A meeting when the people in the back can't understand what's going on in the front. Okay, I'm not criticizing, and I understand there's some problems with the video tonight, but it was my understanding that the audio is working. Are your microphones working?
Audio is not working. No.
Okay, so maybe we shouldn't be having this meeting tonight if the public can't understand and be involved. The per diem thing, we didn't understand any of the answer because the lady is speaking forward and not backwards. Per diem is something very.
You want me to have her repeat it once again?
I can't hear
Do
you.
you want her to repeat it once again so you can hear what she said?
You have to talk louder.
Do
It
you
wouldn't
want
do
her
any good
to
if she came
repeat?
back here and said,
Do you
"Well,
want her to
I
repeat
can't."
it once again?
Excuse me?
Do you want her to repeat it?
I
once
didn't
again?
understand Ms. Rhino. I didn't understand her. I didn't understand what you said.
I'm asking you a question. Do you want me to ask her to repeat once again?
Yes, I'll answer it for him.
Thank you. Go ahead.
You need to close this meeting down.
Mr. Warren, stop.
Okay, employee per diem rates are based on.
I would appreciate it if you wouldn't be rude. Stop being rude, Mr. Warren. That's enough. Stop being rude.
Employee per diem rates are based on the location that the employee is going to. It's based on whether the conference is paying for lunch or not. It's based on location and how long they'll be there. So all rates are different, all per diems are different.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to step up and ask a question? For number 4, anybody on Zoom? Anybody on Zoom? Does it look like? Nope. Council?
Move to approve number 4 on the consent calendar.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Casey,
Abstain.
Councilmember Rhino,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Silvera,
Yes.
and Mayor Lopez.
Aye.
Motion passes 3 with 1 abstention by Councilmember Casey.
Thank you. Resolution number 2021-114, authorizing application for approval and receipt of per capita grants, funds to the State Department of Parks and Recreation. Mr. Osgood. Oh, you got it.
Okay, so Proposition 68 passed 5th of June 2018 by 57.6% of the people. Authorizes this item. I come before you when items aren't constitutionally authorized or authorized by state law and ask you not to pass those. I know this was on the consent calendar. I know it would have passed with unanimous consent, but I have to put out there, this is a justifiable grant, one of very few. When we look at grants, applying for them or receiving them in the future, these are the things I'd like the council to think about. This is absolutely a righteous grant and a righteous process, and I approve the acceptance of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Osgood. Is there any other members of the public that would like to speak on this matter? Anybody else? Anybody on Zoom? Nope, doesn't look like it. Council?
Move to adopt resolution number 2021-114.
Second. Can you roll call, please?
Councilmember Casey,
Aye.
Councilmember Rhino,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Silvera, and
Yes.
Mayor Lopez.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you, Mr. Osgood, for your comments. Moving on to unfinished business. Approving the formation of the Veterans Active Military Banner Program. I would like to begin by making a quick comment. The City of Ceres respects and supports all veterans, active members of our military. They are our friends, your neighbors, your families, some of which of you are here today. They're our coaches, my students, first responders. They are our Ceres residents. Today, I'm asking the City Council to pass a resolution in the formation of an ad hoc committee, Veterans and Active Military Members Recognition Banner Program, that would display our pride and history by placing banners honoring our service members. That will be phase 1 on the Hatch Road corridor. Our city is growing, and we are the 3rd largest city in Stanislaus County, and as promised, I will continue to find new ways to support our community. The idea is that it will begin on the corner of Hatch Road and Herndon Road, and will end on the corner of Hatch Road and Richland Avenue. The goal is the details for this program should be discussed in the form of the ad hoc committee. I had a couple recommendations since we last spoke, and I am open to anyone else who would like to join the committee. My original recommendations were myself, Sergeant King of the Turlock Series U.S. Army Recruiting Office, Freddie Morales of the Veterans of Foreign Affairs, American Legion Commander Pete Samantiago, Resident and Veteran Gene Yakeley, Supervisor Chance Condit, and Vice Mayor Brett Silvera. If there is any other comments that the City Council would like to make before we start this discussion.
Yeah, I have one comment. I think it would be absolutely more appropriate to have one of our veteran city councilmen, Mr. Casey, in my place on this committee. And I've talked to Mr. Casey and he agrees with that. So I'm going to ask that that name be changed to Mr. James Casey. Thank you. That's all I have.
Mr. Casey, do you accept?
Yes, I do. I'd also like to add some comments. It's important to have these banners in recognition of the veterans and the active service members. But as we come to a close of an armed conflict, the Afghan war, our nation unfortunately oftentimes forgets about the veterans that served in that war and the veterans that served in previous wars. I think it's important that not only this ad hoc committee recognize the people like to have banners and such, but also that they be an instrument for the veterans in our city as an avenue to give them advice on where they can go to get assistance. It's very, what happens when there's no conflict, then the public not as aware of what these people have done. And so I think it's important that they do something more than just have a banner on the flagpole, although that's important. I think that the ad hoc committee should focus on being an avenue to direct the veterans and their family members to the resources that are available. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Casey. Councilmember Ms. Rhino?
Did we open this as we do for other committees to the community to submit their names, or was it just the recommendations?
This is the first time we've spoken since the recommendation, so we have not had that full discussion.
Okay.
So the answer would be no, because we haven't had that full discussion.
Okay, well, I listened to the tape of April the 26th, and it sounded to me like you had said that we would take applications and that you mentioned Matt Lohr, and then you went on to recommend who you wanted appointed. And I think any committee, any ad hoc committee we do, just as they did for the beautification committee, that there should be an application process, because there may be other veterans or other people who have an interest that they weren't given the opportunity to submit their name like we typically do.
I would actually agree with you. This is why today is a perfect time to discuss this. My recommendations were just such, they were recommendations. And if the council agrees, we can go ahead and move with the application process and have even those who I recommended on others who are in the room or listening on Zoom to apply for this commission.
Makes sense to me.
Sounds good. Before we move on, is there anybody in the room that would like to add anything? Mr. Yakeley, I know Mr. Yakeley and Mr. Warren, you guys show up to all our meetings, and I know Mr. Warren had displayed interest, and Mr. Yakeley, you were one of my recommendations. Today, I think, thank you, Mr. Yakeley. Go ahead.
All this stuff's way overdue, way overdue. Probably before Linda Rhino was on the council. Before that, the city should have constructed and started paying respect besides the nice memorial on Whitmore Park. That's the only thing we have recognition of. And I think one of the gentlemen from, I think it was American Legion, had told me there was probably, he wrote me and told me there was, he believed maybe 1,000 veterans or more just in series. And I don't think personally, it's been discussed among some of us veterans already, that this group to get together to try to brainstorm something to make recognition for the veterans that live here in our community, they should be comprised of veterans and not so much, don't get me wrong, you guys can stab me in the back later, not someone on the city council that wants to maybe appoint themselves. This happened before. I didn't agree on that either, but I have no objection if you want to put somebody from the city council. And even though he's a new presence here, I think it should be Mr. Casey. And I'm biased as hell because he is a veteran. And this is something that should be a veteran's thing, you know. And can the community cooperate and try to get together? Certainly, if you want to go to some kind of process of an application, fine. And I think these gentlemen here, they know enough people that would probably stand up and take some positions for how many positions you would want or allow us. But this should be something that take some pride in just being together as a unit, as military people. They got their own brand of brotherhood. You know, they might not see each other all the time, but it's tighter than if you went to a university and graduated and got a degree. There's no comparison between the two. But this is something that I feel strongly about, and that it should be comprised of veterans only. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yakeley. Mr. Warren? All right, yes, go ahead.
Pete Samaniego, Commander of the American Legions. I agree with this gentleman here that the ad hoc committee should be veterans. And I feel there should be an advisor to the ad hoc committee, and I should think it should be Mr. Casey. Among that, I think we should recruit or notify members within the Veterans of Foreign Wars and the American Legions to recruit this committee for better mentors for the rest of the veterans around our community. I know we just recently named a city park, and I have no objection with the name that was named after, but we put it out there to our veterans. And I'm just talking about veteran participation. I think we were, I don't know, maybe a third less of what the votes total votes came in. But the time that we were allowed to vote for that park, there was no notification. I know you folks spoke on it here at your meetings, but I think us veterans should have been more aware of what's going on within our community. That's why I say that bringing in other veterans outside just what's here would make a better committee. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Sounds like the plan.
My name is Freddie Morales. I'm the commander of the Veteran of Foreign Wars. I wholeheartedly agree with our American Legion commander. We need more veterans to be represented because we're the veterans. We know what we know. We know what we want and we know what we need. And as far as being long overdue, I got one World War II veteran left in my post. I lost a Korean veteran last year. We're losing our veterans pretty fast. We need to do something now. And as long as we got our veterans, we should allow them to be involved, to present something that will represent all the veterans. We're all brothers as far as the veterans, and we should make the committee proud of the brotherhood of the veterans of Ceres. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I commend you for recommending this committee in the beginning and putting your suggestions forward as how the committee should be formed and presented. But I do feel that council members that are veterans should be on the committee, but it shouldn't be composed with like 50% of the city council folks as committee members. There should be an application process. I agree with Ms. Rhino. There may be some citizens that aren't veterans that want to be involved and have some good ideas. And there may be veterans out there that if they're contacted, they would like to participate and be involved with this process. So enough said. Other folks here have mentioned their feelings, but I do feel that veterans from the Ceres community and not outside our community, we don't need to reach down to Turlock or we don't need to reach up to Stockton. There may be groups of people up there that the committee can confer with to bring their information back to our cities. But I think it needs to be our city members and citizens that are on this committee and consideration given to those that are veterans. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Is there anybody else? If seeing none, do we create a motion for this, or do we just say yes?
No, you can't create.
It's not, this is just that is correct. So do we start with that? Because I want to make sure that because here on unfinished business it says honoring is just strictly veterans, but this is actually the way I describe it is the way I describe this is it's a Veterans and Active Military Members Banner Program is what I want to make sure that we all understand what it really is. That it is a banner program, so we can have discussion on how we're going to move forward with this. And the first process should be opening up applications, if that's what the council concurs. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if that's the first step we'll take, we'll go ahead and start taking applications. And should we bring this back? Or should we just take the applications and are we going to talk about the application process on the dais when we bring this back?
I would recommend you do that.
Oh, do that now? Okay, so we'll go ahead and take applications today. Not today, excuse me, we'll take applications on the next meeting. I mean, is there any dates we can think of?
Miss City Clerk.
Diane?
If I may, Mayor and Council, we probably want to set a time frame when applications will be accepted. Whether you want to start on, I'd have to put the application together, so the earliest would be the 10th. Whether you want the application period to open on the 10th, depending how long you want that open for. Do you want it 2 weeks? If it's 2 weeks, it would close on the 24th, and then you can possibly bring it back on December 13th council meeting consideration of the appointments.
Do you remember how long we did the applications for the beautification committee? I know some of them, we've had them run as long as 30 days. I'm not sure.
You can run it 30 days if you'd like. That's a council decision, or you can run it through the end of the month. So 11/10 through 11/30.
Yeah, I believe we should go for 30 days. Some of the people, as one of our speakers said, it's more difficult to get information out than ever now. If you are not on social media and you don't check the series website, then it's very difficult to get information. So back in the day when you could put it in the Modesto Bee and everybody in the world would see it, those days are over. So I think 30 days would give everybody the opportunity, even people that aren't computer friendly and aren't on social media, give them the ability to go to the city, find the city website, get the application, whether it be in paper, and turn it in. So 2 weeks, I don't think 2 weeks is enough.
And that would allow the city to also put something in the Series Courier, because a lot of people still do read that either in print or online, but it gives them the opportunity, another way for them to see it.
Okay, then we'll do that.
So would that be 11/10 through possibly 11/7 to get all the applications in? Because we would get the packet out on the 8th.
Would that give, or well, then the process would be, are we interviewing people? Are we just going to take their application and make the decision at a meeting who will be on that committee? I'm asking
I'm
you
okay
two.
with that. If we take the applications and we'll make that decision when we're on the dais on the 13th.
And we don't need to interview them?
We don't need to interview.
Okay. Do we need to decide if we're going to make it solely veterans, or is it open to the community? My personal feeling is it should be open to the community, because what if, say there's parents out there that have lost a child during a war and they may want to be on this committee, but they're not veterans. So I think it needs to be open to everyone in the community.
We'll do that. I'm okay with that. Open it.
I agree. And I also agree. I also think that we should have at least one council person on there as at least as a liaison to the city, so that would give that person the ability to research the ideas that the committee is coming up with, see if it's even feasible. With that direct connection to the city, I believe somebody from the council should be on it. And I've already stated my opinion that Mr. Casey should be on it at the very least.
What about the idea of a staff member? Because the staff member is going to have to relay the information on what we can and cannot do. If that makes any sense, the staff member will guide the committee with information that we already have, such as I have, that can help everybody with the ideas. Are we okay too?
Yeah,
it would basically be like a non-voting liaison to the committee from the city staff.
And that person would,
I think Alex
would need
has
to be able to know what signing, what we allow for signs and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know that it would be the city manager. I'm thinking
no, Alex
either
has something.
a planner or someone from the rec.
What do you think, Alex?
If I may?
Yes,
Sure.
you may.
I think we would just need to identify who would be most appropriate to provide staff
Okay.
support to the ad hoc committee.
Sounds good. Okay, I'm okay with that.
So we need to decide that now?
No.
Okay.
Well, not in particular, but I'm okay with Mr. Casey being the council member on that committee, and then in addition to a staff member. That'd be great.
Mr. Mayor?
Oh, go ahead, Mr. Yakeley.
I don't think anybody back here could hear too well, but I did hear Diane say something about, or someone talking about the newspaper, something in the newspaper, if I'm correct. And I remember another issue, not a veterans issue, with the police department before on a program they were having with, whether it's fireworks or something else one year. And I mentioned, is there a possibility of getting a public service announcement over a radio? Because in the past, not since I've been here anyway, but as a younger man, a middle-aged 30-something back in the day, there was public service announcements over the radio. Some people still listen to the radio. I don't know if you could get that for the local. I think there's a local television thing here that covers something in series, I think out of Modesto or something. But the more impact you have on trying to reach people, I think they'll be happy. Even if they don't, they'll know they're recognized. But the broader base that you can try to draw from with the newspaper, maybe Modesto would agree to put something in. I know Jeff Benzinger, he'd be more than happy to put something in the paper there for your application program to, you know, get something going. And maybe the media, as far as, well, newspapers media, but a radio station, or possibly this local station I've heard of out of Modesto. So the more we can do in a time period that you might have, and maybe the city manager has some kind of contact with this other media source that we could use. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
So,
Yager.
hold on, I'm gonna say a second here. So Gene and John and everybody, I'm just gonna say this so you can hear it. All the stuff you're talking about is, I know you can't hear it, it's crazy with the technology. That's exactly what we're planning on doing. Everything that you asked for, that's what we're gonna do. That's what we were talking about. I know it's difficult for you to hear. I just want you to know all the stuff, all those ideas that you just had is exactly what we're gonna do with getting the word out, who's gonna be on the committee, all of it. This sucks for everybody to be in this situation with the technology, but it is what it is. So everything you said, that's what we're gonna do. Everything we can do to get it out. 100%.
Not all the other medias.
Thank you, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Vice Mayor.
One question, and thank you for speaking up. I appreciate that. Okay. How will the selection process take place? Once you've got your applications, you have a pile of them. Are you going to do it by district?
We talked about that also.
Okay.
So everybody will turn their applications in. We're going to meet in a public meeting and take those applications without interview and select the committee at a public meeting.
How many would be on the committee?
We haven't talked about that part yet.
Okay. All right.
We'll when we figure that out, we'll let you guys know.
Okay.
If we yell it, we'll yell it. Yes, sir.
I have just one last point to that. Earlier I said that all veterans should be in the committee that consists of all veterans. Well, the American Legion also has a subsidiary called the Sons of the Legions, where their granddaddy or their fathers served in the military with honorably discharged. They're eligible to join the Sons of the Legions of the American Legions.
So what we talked about, veterans, non-veterans, people in the community, we plan on having at least one city councilman on there to help with the relationship with the city, and a city staff person as a non-voting liaison to the committee to get the word back and forth.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Okay. So we got that down, Diane? We're good? Okay, sweet. Thank you, council. I think this is a great thing, and I appreciate everybody's support. Moving on to public hearing. Yes, have a great evening. Okay. This public hearing has actually been requested, it looks like, to move to an uncertain date. Is that correct?
Date certain.
An uncertain date.
No, a certain date.
This is uncertain.
Should say a certain date, because
Yet to be determined, it looks like. So
There's no date.
There's no date. So we'll bring this back up for discussion.
We need to open up the public hearing.
We'll still open it up. We still need to open it up?
Yeah.
Okay. Start from the top, ladies and gentlemen. This hearing is set for November 8th, 2021 at April 26th City Council meeting. The applicant and project proponent have requested the hearing to be continued to a date to be determined. Public hearing for the City Council to consider a proposal for rezoning of the property located at northeast corner of East Hatch Road and Golf Links Drive to modify the existing MX2 mixed use to zoning designation to the Golf Links Drive to modify, and CC community commercial zoning designation within the Mitchell Road corridor specific plan, and to consider an appeal of the Planning Commission decision approving a vesting tentative parcel map and a specific plan site entertainment involving a subdivision of 2.16 acres commercial zone site into 3 parcels with a new commercial building proposed for each parcel. The consideration of the applicant is requesting to continue the hearing date to be determined. Christopher Holm, is there anything you would like to add to this?
Both the appellant and the applicant agreed to postpone this to a date to be determined.
Okay, so both the appellant and the applicant agreed to postpone this hearing to another date.
Do
I
you
want to make that clear. So are we, so there is a little.
Take a comment. If anybody wants to comment, you need to take that comment tonight.
Does anybody in the city council have any comments at all?
Not this time.
Does anybody in the public have any comments? Absolutely. Come on up, Mr. Osgood.
Typically, the courts allow so many continuances. My question tonight is, how many continuances has the proponent asked for? How many has the appellant asked for? Do we have that information? I know we've continued this multiple times, at least twice.
Yeah, I've been attacking 3 times, so that's why it's gonna be another date, not just a continued date, but a new date, and will be re-noticed.
Okay, I understand from my conversation with Director Hom that the parties would like to wait until there's a complete council, and that was council's determination prior to them wanting that. So we have this interview and appointment process tomorrow night. That should conclude and seat a member by December 13th if all the information held in the agenda for tomorrow night's meeting is accurate. So my suggestion would be, this is one of the things we need to be proactive about. We're constantly reactive to the vacant seat of District 1. Now we're reactive to the vacant seat of District 4. The council will again be complete on December 13th. So it'd be my recommendation that we move this until December 13th or no later than the meeting on December 27th, and we finish this business. We need to conclude this. That's just my opinion on the subject, and I'll leave you guys to make your decision.
Thank you, Mr. Osgood.
Mayor and council, we do have certain time periods we have to wait after the noticing, so we'll
Okay.
comply with that, of course, bring it back to you.
Okay. Did you catch that, Mr. Osgood?
Yes, I heard.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, so with that being said, does the council concur to move this to an uncertain date? Yep. Looks like a yes. Okay, nobody.
I
Yep.
thought we had to move it to a certain date.
No,
No, we have
to be determined.
That would be if we didn't want to have to re-notice.
Okay.
But Mr. Osgood's point, and we discussed it before that, but we're going to go ahead and just get a fresh notice.
Okay. So we're, okay.
Because of the length of time.
Okay.
Sounds good. Okay. Moving on to new business. Resolution number 2021-116.
We need a vote on that.
You need a what? I'm sorry?
We need a vote.
Oh, we need a vote? Okay. Council?
Wait, motion first, right?
Motion, yes. Motion first, Vice Mayor. Go ahead.
Mr. Osgood is
Wait, we actually need a motion for the previous item. If you could just please wait for 1 second. Thank you. Go ahead.
Move to approve moving the River Oaks project to a later date.
second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Casey,
Aye.
Councilmember
Yes.
Rhino, Vice Mayor Silvera,
Yes.
and Mayor Lopez.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. Moving on to new business. Resolution number 2021-116, ratifying the memorandum of the understanding between the City of Ceres and the mid-manager bargaining group. Teresa Rowland to present a staff report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for listening to this tonight. So we have a staff report for you for your consideration and ratification tonight for the mid-managers group. The city has reached an agreement on terms and conditions of employment. And on October 27th, the group took a vote and they ratified the agreement. Tonight, we are asking for council's final ratification of the agreement. I will take any questions with that.
Thank you, Teresa. I do have a yellow slip from Mr. Osgood. If you want to start with the first question, sir. Go ahead.
No question, just a comment this evening.
You got it.
As you know, I go through the agenda packet just much like everybody should. This is pretty much verbatim of the other contracts you guys have already ratified. Heard me talk tonight on equality already. The bonuses are the same. It's coming from the same monies. The percentages are the same. I'd expect you guys in that manner of equality to approve this as well. Again, I gotta just say that the public sector is seeing these increases, but the private sector is not. So in future negotiations, I think our representatives need to stand a little firmer on, hey, we have to be good stewards of the people's money. But as far as this contract to be equal with the other departments and divisions, I would expect you to pass this resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Osgood. Appreciate the comments. Any other members of the public would like to speak? No? You guys are good, man. Thank you for always showing up. No members of Zoom? Council? No comments?
I'll move to approve resolution 2021-116, ratifying the memorandum of understanding between the city of Ceres and the mid-manager bargaining.
Get a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Casey,
Aye.
Councilmember Rhino,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Silvera,
Yes.
and Mayor Lopez.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0.
Do we have any council member referrals today? Okay, moving on to reports. I do have several reports here from me. And once I do start discussing these reports, if staff members would like to chime in, I'll start off with, what's that? Okay, so I have mayor reports, and if staff would like to jump in as I start talking about the first one, trunk or treat. The city of Ceres had its first trunk or treat festival at Wilmore Park. My wife and I greeted residents at the entrance, and I was very pleased with the hard work and creativity by our Parks and Recreations Department. Our police and fire department passed out candy. Thank you to all the volunteers that displayed booths and also displayed their trunks. It is estimated that over 3,000 parents and kids attended the event. Don't quote me on that. I took several photos of some very well put together costumes. Next year, I'm expecting more attendees and possibility expanding the event. Only time will tell. And thank you also to the council members that showed up. If staff would like to chime in on this particular event, if you guys have anything to say, you don't have to, but.
Thank you, Mayor, council members, Joey Chavez, Recreation. First of all, I'd like to thank staff, especially Katie. I've been one month today on the job. Katie's been here a few months. She's kind of spearhead the whole event, in a short time, and just overseeing and seeing how the event went and just seeing all the people there. Yes, around 3,000, because we did have someone that handed out one piece of candy at a time. The front entrance coming into the park they were wrapped around Wells Fargo's bank. I kind of looked at it and I said, wow, and I seen that wave come through. And I said, okay, is this going to be it? But no, throughout the day, it just kept on coming. And thanking all our vendors for trunks, and also that had like booths. They were all decorated beautiful. I mean, they took the extra mile for it. And seeing all the faces, I was just walking around, just catching looking at the people, making interaction with people just to get to know the community. And what a wonderful response from everyone. And give them, telling the insights of what we want to do for our Christmas tree, our Christmas lane, I think Christmas parade. We were looking forward to expanding that and making it bigger in the past. Then also thanking facilities, Jeremy's crew, facilities, parks, streets, for their support. Not one time where those guys said no, they're just willing to help left and right. So that goes a long way with our department, because we're always working with them hand in hand. So to thank them, a big kudos to them. And also thanking Chief Collins for making his presence out there, and also to you, Mayor and Councilmember Severa, for showing you guys support. So thank you guys once again for everything. And then Katie, if she has anything she can add, she would like, but there's a big thanks to Katie and our staff that did an awesome job.
Thank you, Katie. I appreciate it. My next report is on November 4th, 2021, the Chamber of Commerce held a meeting. In short, there was a wide discussion of the future of the direction of the Chamber. Many were in attendance and shared ideas and shared their support. For any further information, please find them online, Chamber of Commerce. I don't actually have their website. Do you know the website, Diane, what it's called? I don't want to misrepresent the name of the website. Probably Series Chamber of Commerce, but I just don't want to chop and screw it.
It is Series Chamber of Commerce.
SeriesChamberofCommerce.com. All right, thank you, everybody. So the next and final update that I have is on November 6th, the Whitmore Charter Middle School Interact Club, Sirius Rotary Club, and Officer Brian Peterson joined together alongside with students and volunteers to clean trash alongside Mitchell Road near the marquee, and that welcomes people into our city from the airport district. This project was inspired by Dave Homer and Lauren Maraca. The city has been experiencing a lot of blight and illegal dumps within the last several months. I encourage our residents that in order for the community to stay clean and be viewed as such, we must not ignore but report this to our staff. Call it in, email, or DM us on social media, and that includes myself. It is time to change the culture, and I've been working with our staff, county and Caltrans, to do everything in our power to keep our city clean. And kudos to Alex for always taking pride in our city, and kudos to the city council and members of the public who continue to always report those blights. So I encourage everybody in the public and everybody on Zoom who is viewing this that we continue to take pride in our city, and if it takes cleaning it up with one item at a time, that's what we will take. That is the end of my reports. Moving on to any of the other city council members who have any reports. Seeing none. City manager would like to add anything?
Just that the opening of Christmas Tree Lane will occur on December 4th. So December 4th, opening of Christmas Tree Lane. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Is there any information that we might have soon on the website in case anybody wants to know what we will be doing that?
If it's not on the website, we'll post it there. It should be posted on the rec department Facebook page.
Okay.
It is posted on the rec Facebook page. It was also posted on the calendar last week.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
We've got over 10,000 people. So Facebook tracks it for us of how many people have seen it. And
Oh, sweet.
currently, there's a little over 10,000 people that we've reached. We've got over 200 shares, and we've got over like 150 likes when I last looked at it.
Okay, that's great. City attorney, okay. We'll start with you. Is there anything else you would like to say? We're moving on to department heads. Anything else you would like to add?
Just we'd love to have the support of everybody at the event. To follow up on what Joey was saying, we really appreciated all the different departments that helped participate with the trunk or treat. And then for those of you that showed up, we loved having you guys there. It says a lot for our department, especially with all the changes and stuff that have lately happened. And so we would definitely like to have everybody involved for the parade, for the actual event itself. So if you guys are interested in that, let me know. We've got a couple of ideas for city council, for the city manager, for mayor, to get you guys involved as well with that.
Absolutely. Look forward to that conversation. Thank you. Anybody else from the department that would like to speak today? Seeing none, is the county supervisor on Zoom at all, or his representative? None. Okay, we will now adjourn this meeting to go into closed session for real property negotiations. Please note the properties are on the 5th Street instead of the 6th Street, and conference with labor negotiators. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak in regards to the closed session item?
May I say something?
Okay, can you please hold? I'm gonna allow Ms. Rhino to say one thing before you. Go ahead, Councilmember.
The first 6th Street address is correct, and the other two are on 5th Street, so they're not all on 5th Street.
So they're not all on 5th Street.
The first one is correct,
And then the other two are on Fifth Street.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Rhino. Okay, Mr. I'm sorry. There is somebody on Zoom. Oh, Mr. Osgood, I apologize. Mr. Chance Supervisor, they're online. If they could speak before you, thank you.
Mayor, this is Russell Fowler from Supervisor Chance Condit's office. Supervisor apologizes he can't be here with you tonight. He had to attend a special board meeting for redistricting, so he's obligated to be there. But nevertheless, I'm glad to join you tonight to discuss these important topics, and always happy to be in service to the city of Ceres. That being said, I'm more than happy to take any comments, questions, or concerns at this time.
Any comments or questions to Supervisor Chance Condit's office? Nope. Doesn't look like it.
Thank you very much. Have a great night, guys.
You too. Good night. Okay, Mr. Osgood, you may now proceed.
Yeah, so I just kind of got a question of what's going on here. Does the city currently own the properties in question? Two appear to be part of the Walter White, Whitmore Charter School compound over there, and one a private residence. I'm just kind of curious what's going on there. Wasn't real clear in the agenda. Are we selling these properties? Are we trying to rent properties? What are we doing?
We'll have a report.
So after closed session, Mr. Osgood, after the closed session, we'll have a report.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Osgood. I appreciate your time. Okay, we're now moving on to closed session, everyone. Thank you very much. No, I'm not gonna turn it off. This is all you. You can disconnect.
No, I have to leave that going because people will.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Okay, on the two closed session items, the council gave direction to staff on both.